At last. I must say I'm disappointed in your progress. I imagined you'd be here sooner. Tell me, did it trouble you to murder your brothers?
Did it trouble you when you ordered me into the abyss? I found the tomb of Sarafan, Kain. How could you profane a priest by turning him into a vampire?
How could I not? One must keep his friends close, Raziel, and his enemies even closer.
Corpse!
But this is not where or how it ends. Fate promises more twists before this drama unfolds. Completely.
Even now, Kain is lying in wait for you, unaware that I've snatched you out of the time stream and brought you here to me. See how he lingers at the very pillars he is destined to destroy, foolishly confident that he has eluded your grasp.
The pillars are still standing in this time.
Kain's very existence is a cancer upon this world. As long as he lives, all of Nosgoth is in peril.
30 years hence, I am presented with a dilemma. Let's call it a two-sided coin. If the coin falls one way, I sacrifice myself and thus restore the pillars. But as the last surviving vampire in Nosgoth, this would mean the annihilation of our species. If the coin lands on the reverse, I refuse the sacrifice and thus doom the pillars to an eternity of collapse. Either way, the game is rigged.
You said it yourself, Kain. There are only two sides to your coin.
Apparently so. But suppose you throw a coin enough times. Suppose one day it lands on its edge.
Janos Audron, the Reaver Guardian, the last of the ancients, and my maker, was murdered by the Sarafan nearly 5 centuries ago. He alone would have the answers you seek, but his secrets died with him.
If Janos Audron was the key to all this, then I would find him. Show yourself, Kain.
Here, Raziel. Everything is decided here. The Reaver is the key. 2 incarnations of the blade meet in time and space. A paradox is created, a temporal distortion powerful enough to derail history. You have nothing to fear from me, Raziel. You hold all the cards.
What's happening?
We're hurtling towards our destinies, Raziel. What you feel is the pull of history rushing to meet us. This is where history and destiny collide. There is much more for you to unearth, if you have the heart for the truth and the will to see it.
And I'll choose my own purpose from here on out, Time Streamer. Right now, I choose to manipulate you for a change. Go. In there.
What are you doing?
Come, Rubius. You're a cunning serpent. You'll piece it together, I imagine. You will operate this device to provide me passage. I want to see the world in a simpler time, before the Sarafan began their crusade. Rot here and forget me. Even as I emerged from that infernal time-streaming chamber, I suspected treachery. The stronghold was vacant, derelict, and abandoned. Oh no. Every time you turn up, something monumental and terrible happens. I don't think I have the stomach for it.
No drama this time, Raziel.
You are persistent, crossing time like this to follow me. Still waiting for that coin of yours to land on its edge.
Janos is indeed the key to your destiny. But you'll need to find your own way back into Nosgoth's path. Make no mistake though, Raziel. You and I are now in great danger. We are irritants here. Malevolent forces are being marshaled to eliminate us.
The scenes I discovered here were unambiguous. This race of winged beings, the architects of the pillars and the creators of the Reaver, were Nosgoth's first vampires. Their bloodthirst appeared to be a curse, inflicted upon them by their vanquished enemies. I had no choice but to act purely on blind faith. There was no way to tell what error this device was tuned to, and I had neither the knowledge nor the means to set the machine myself. I hesitated only briefly. Then, throwing the switch, I hurled myself into oblivion and relinquished my will to the hand of fate. Beyond all hope and against all probability, it seemed that the device had unerringly delivered me to the error I sought. For these were Sarafan banners, and these vampires apparently the victims of their crusade.
Janos, Audron, it is heartening after all these years to hear my name spoken without contempt. At the time of the binding, 9 guardians were called to serve the pillars, and I was summoned as the 10th guardian, the keeper of the Reaver, the weapon of our salvation. Over time, our race died out, until I alone remained, sustained only by my obligation to you and by my guardianship of the blade. I fear you have been followed. You must save yourself, Raziel. Janos! No!
My surroundings whirled sickeningly, and I found myself transported safely away from the ambush to an adjacent chamber.
Hold him! Still beats!
It's alive! Raziel, we must get out of here!
Remember the sword!
Forgive me. I'm sorry. I failed you. No, Raziel. Perhaps this was my true purpose. Simply to save your life this once. While I have taken yours. You must reclaim the Reaver. It was forged for you and you alone. Without it, there is no hope.
As I backed away from Janos's body, I was overwhelmed by a sense of self-loathing so deep I could barely contain it. In that instant, I rejected all that I ever was, and embraced the role Janos had safeguarded for me so patiently throughout the centuries. I knew then what I had to do.
So, Raziel, here we are finally. You have no choice but to confront me now, and I am not so foolish as I've let you believe. We have business to conclude.
You knew I would lead the Seraphan to Janos, you vile bastard. You've been orchestrating my every move. I admit that I've underestimated you to this point, Mobius. It's a mistake I won't repeat.
Wrong again, Raziel. Now, Malik, bolt the door.
Using his staff to disable my wraith blade, Mobius effectively disarmed me, leaving me with only one choice of weapon. And yet I confess, it was not the lack of options, but blind rage that made me take up the Reaver. Vampire, here we are. You've destroyed my brethren, and now you've come for me. You'll find I'm not such easy prey. I renounce you. Of my awareness. With all other foes exhausted, the conjoined blades turned themselves on me, and I realized, finally, why I had sensed nothing when Janos offered me the blade. The Reaver was never forged to be a soul-stealing weapon. The ravenous, soul-devouring entity trapped in the blade was, and always had been, me. Are you enjoying this game? Don't fight it, Raziel. Give into it. Was this your destiny for me all along? Trust me. I felt myself weakening, unable to hold on any longer. The Reaver was too strong. The compulsion to simply let go, too great. And then, a growing sense of vertigo and the familiar displacement. The paradoxical moment when my twinned soul hovered both outside and inside the Reaver blade. This was the instant, the glimmer of temporal distortion Kain had been counting on all along. This was the edge of the coin, the minute flicker of probability upon which Kain had gambled everything. Now you are free to reclaim your true destiny, Raziel. Behind Kain's eyes, I could see new memories blooming and dying as history labored to reshuffle itself around this monumental obstruction. And I could see by the dawning horror on his face that perhaps we had strained history too far this time. That by trying to alter my fate, he may have introduced a fatal paradox. My God! The Hilden! We walked right into their trap. Raziel, Janos must stay dead. But Kain's warning was lost as I slipped into the spirit realm, too weak to maintain my physical form. And there, waiting for me as always, was the Reaver, the wraith blade, my own soul, twinned and bound eternally to me. And I realized that I could never escape my terrible destiny. I had merely postponed it. History abhors a paradox.